to the channel. My name is Brittany of BrittanyJJones.com, and in today's video we are going to be sewing Simplicity 8701. I love these pants. I think they are super cute. For my pants, I did the long pants version like the model has the two pockets on the front. I love the way they fit. They fit amazing. I did do a little bit of grading between my waist and hip, so that was like the only modification I made to the pattern. For fabric, I'm using some amazing denim from Talio. This is a part of our September collaboration, so I'm super excited about it. These pants come together really easy, and since I already have them made, I can kind of tell you what I did wrong so you won't do the wrong thing. Make sure that you have your waistband, your front two waistbands on the right side. I'm just going to leave you with that. So you won't have that same error I had. So make sure you transfer your buttonholes and your button marking so you will know exactly where your waistbands need to be. So once you have everything cut out, all your markings done, let's get started sewing. Okay everybody, so the first step is to go ahead and do stay stitching on the top edge of our pants. So go ahead and get your pattern guide so you can see the arrows that they want you to do the stay stitching in, and go ahead to the machine and do that now. Okay, I'm about to get ready to do my stay stitching. Stay stitching is done at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So go ahead and find your 1/2 inch and go ahead and stitch in place. And you can just continue that for the rest of your pieces. Once the stay stitching is done, we can go ahead and set both of the pants front and back to the side. And then you want to go ahead and grab your pocket pieces. So the pocket piece is piece 6. And we're going to begin working on that. So I kind of clip the sides where my fold line is on my pocket. But first we're going to fold back. First we're going to fold in 1/4 inch on our seam allowance, and then we're going to give that a press. And then once we have that folded, then we're going to fold it down and back along the fold line like so. So I'm going to go ahead and press it, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So now your pocket should look a little something like this. I folded under 1/4 inch, and then I pressed it onto itself at the fold line. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to head and stitch along the stitching line all the way around the pocket. And then once I have that, I'm going to just trim away a little bit up here at the corner to eliminate some of the bulk. So now let's go to our machine, and then we are going to stitch along the stitching line all the way around the pocket. It'll make it a lot easier for turning in the seam allowance around the pocket and giving it a good press. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now I can go ahead and do the same thing for the other pocket, and then trim a little bit away from this corner to eliminate some of the bulk. Okay, so now I have my pockets stitched around along the seam line, and then I also just went ahead and clipped out about 1/4 inch of that bulk. So now I can go ahead and turn the corners out and kind of poke them out a little bit. Then I'll take it over to the ironing board and just press along the stitching line that I created. Is going to help it come in a lot easier since we already put that stitch in it. So now I'm just going to go ahead and turn everything right side, turn everything to the inside, and then go ahead and give it a good press. So now that they're all pressed, now we can do top stitching right along this pocket facing 1/4 inch away from that fold. So now I'm going to go ahead and give it another good press and do the same thing to the other pocket. Okay, once you have your pockets done, I actually did another row of stitching. So what you want to do now is find your markings on your pants and line them up. Go ahead and grab your pins and pin the pocket in place. Now you can take it to your sewing machine, and you want to stitch first along the edge, do an edge stitch, and then you want to go back and do a top stitch along your pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now to my the front of my pants and sew my pockets on. Once you have this pocket sewn in place, go ahead and do the same thing to the other pocket. Okay, so our next step is to begin working on our zipper pieces. So I have my zipper here that I'm going to be using, and I did have to shorten it a little bit. And you should have transferred your center front and your stitching lines onto your pant. And I went ahead and finished off the edges here because I find it easy to do before we start to sew these pieces together, which is what our next step is. So with right sides facing, go ahead and lay your pieces together. I'm gonna grab my pins, and from the notch to this large dot, I'm going to pin in place. This is where we're gonna do a regular machine stitch from the notch to the dot, and from the remainder of the center front, we are going to baste that in place. So I'm just going to put some pins along my marking here that I have transferred at the top. So again, you're going to do a regular machine stitch from the notch to the large dot, and from the dot up the remainder of the center front, you're going to do a basting stitch because this is where the zipper has to go. So baste up here and regular stitch down here. Okay, so first thing first, we're going to begin working on the right side of our pants. So working on the extension only, so only the zipper extension. You want to get the zipper, we're going to place it facing side down. We're going to put the right portion of the zipper there, like so. The zipper stop should be about 1/4 of an inch from the top of the pant, and the teeth should be aligned with the basting stitch. So once you have all of that, you want to go ahead and pin in place. And then you also want to go ahead and put your zipper foot on your machine when you go over there, so we can baste this down first. First, we're going to baste it down in place. So go ahead and put your pins in like I'm doing here. Once you have it pinned, make sure your zipper stop is about 1/4 of an inch from the top, and then we can go ahead and take it to the machine and baste it down. Again, I'm only working on the right fly extension, and the zipper is faced down. Okay, so now that I have it basted to the right fly extension, I do want to say that I forgot to mention that we need to clip the seam allowance below the lower edge of the fly front. So if you go back up to step 6, you will see where they clipped into the lower edge of the fly. So you go ahead and do that as well. I did mine here, and I just wanted to make sure I said that. So once you have the fly extension basted to the right, you want to fold it to the inside. Go ahead and close your zipper, and you're going to stitch as close as you can right to the fold along the zipper. Be sure not to stitch on the zipper teeth, and just make sure you stitch as close as you can to the fold. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so now that I have it sewn down to the right fly extension, now we're going to start working on the left. And so working on the left fly extension only, I am now just going to pin it down just how it lays. I'm not moving it over or anything. I'm just pinning it down like so. And so now I'm going to take it to the machine, and I'm just going to stitch it down in place. So now I'm going to go ahead and stitch the left side of the zipper to the left extension. Okay, so once you have the left side of the zipper sewn to the left side of the extension, then you want to lay your pants flat, and you want to pin the left side of the extension to your pant, through your pants. So pin through all layers, the left side and the top of your pants. And then you're going to stitch along your markings that you have here to do your top stitching. So let's go ahead and take it to the machine and do that now. So now that you have it sewn down, now to just give our zipper a test, I'm going to undo the basting stitch. Okay, so once the zipper is installed, have a really nice zipper, now we can put this to the side and start working on our back pieces. So go ahead and grab your 2 back pieces, and the first thing we're going to do is stitch our darts. So go ahead and grab your pins and pin your darts in place. Okay, so now once you have your darts pinned, go ahead and take them to the sewing machine and stitch your darts in place now. So now that you have the darts sewn, now we can go ahead and move on to the next step. And you can see that I went ahead and finished off this center seam as well as the inner leg seam allowance. So the next step is right sides facing. We're going to go ahead and stitch these inner leg seams together. So this one goes here, and we're going to match up the notches as we go and just start pinning both of the inner leg seams in place now. Once you have it pinned, go ahead and take it to the machine and sew both of the inner leg seams in place now. Okay, now I'm going to start at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm starting at the hem. And I'm going to work up to the top, stitching the inner leg seam in place. Go ahead and do the other inner leg seam the same way. Once you have the inner leg seam sewn, go ahead and give them a good press. And now we're going to sew the center seam together. So go ahead and line up those inner leg seams, pin there in place, and then match up your other notches that you have. Now go to the machine and sew the rest of this seam. You want to start here with the seam you left off and just finish the seam all the way. Now that we have the center seam sewn together, now we can go ahead and stitch our side seams together. So go ahead and pin your side seams in place, match up your notches, and just go ahead and pin all the way down both of your side seams. Once you have both side seams pinned, go ahead and take it to the machine and sew them in place. Okay, I'm going to start from the hem and I'm going to work my way up the side seam, starting at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, back stitching at the beginning and the end of the stitch. Now you want to go ahead and do the other side seam the same way, and then go ahead and finish off your raw edges. Okay, so once you have the side seams of your pants sewn, now we can go ahead and sit this to the side. Go ahead and grab our carrier. So your carrier will look like this, and what you would do, you would take it to your ironing board and you would first press it down in half first. Then you will open that out and you would press one end to that crease that you would have created, and then press the other end to the crease, and then fold it together like so to create your carrier. And then you will stitch down both sides of it. I've done this one right here. So this is my carrier piece, and I'm gonna cut it into 5 equal pieces, approximately 3 inches. So let's go ahead and cut it in place now. Okay, so once you have your carriers, what you wanna do is on the right side, turn your pants right side out. So starting at the center back seam, I'm gonna put the first one here. And you want to line up the raw edges. I'm gonna just pin it in place to hold it there for now. And then 5 inches away from here, you're going to place the other one. So this one should be somewhere near that dart. Go ahead and put that one there. From here, you want to go ahead and baste them in place now. Okay, so the next step, after you have your belt loops basted onto your pants, you can set that to the side for a moment and go ahead and grab your interface pieces of your waistband. You should have cut out 2 of everything. One set of those will be interfaced and the other set of those will be for the facing. So once you have those interfaced, go ahead and pin at the side seams, match up your notches, and then we can take it to the sewing machine and stitch those down now. Okay, using a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, back stitching at the beginning and at the end, I'm going to stitch the sides of the waistbands together. The next thing you want to do is go ahead and put your waistband right sides together with your pants. Line up your notches. Your waistband should extend 5/8 of an inch past the left side and 1 3/4 inches past the right side. So go ahead and match up side seams, match up notches, and begin pinning your waistband in place. Okay, once you have it pinned in place, it should look a little something like this. You should have a waistband that is extending. Go ahead and take it to your machine and sew it on now. All right, so once you have your waistband sewn in place, go ahead and trim it, but be sure not to trim right here on the part that is over extending. Don't trim that part there. And then once you have that done, go ahead and grab your other pieces of your waistband, sew those together at the sides, and then press up the seam allowance like I've done here. And now with right sides together, we are going to stitch these in place, but make sure that your belt loops are not in the way. We want those to be down and out of the way. So now go ahead and just pin this part of the waistband together now. Once you have your waistband pinned in place, you're going to stitch this opening close, and then stitch all the way around the waistband, stitch this opening close, and make sure that you have the belt loops out of the way. So again, stitch the opening close here in the front, stitch all the way around the top of the belt loop, close this up, and make sure the belt loops are out of the way. So let's go ahead and do that now. And then once you have all that done, make sure you do some understitching too. So I gotta make a correction. Remember when you were sewing the extension part, you need to come over and then go up to make sure that you close up that opening at the bottom. Then pivot. So now you have the extension for their button. So now once you have it sewn, go ahead and trim off the excess here around the corners. Just trimming off the corners. So you want to trim this down, and then you also want to do some understitching. So let's go ahead and do that now. Again, trim it and then do understitching. Okay, so once you have that understitched, you can go ahead and add your label if you want. Then you want to go ahead and pin your waistband down to the outside so you can stitch in the ditch and give a really nice stitch all the way around. So go ahead and do that now, and then we'll move on to the next step. So I have my waistband stitched down all the way around. I stitched in the ditch. Now you have the option to do more stitching around your waistband if you want. I'm not gonna do that, I'm okay with that. But I literally just realized that I put my waistband on backwards. That's funny, but you know what? I'm just gonna go on, and yeah, my pants gonna look like that. Maybe I should put 2 buttons here. Ooh, that might work, let me see. Let me see, will 2 buttons work? Okay, that could be cute. That could be cute. This could just be a fake one, and this one would be the real one with the buttonhole. Okay, I think I will go with this. I think that's gonna be cute. So go ahead and do your buttonhole and sew on your button following your machine manual. And then for your buttonholes, you just want to fold these over and then stitch them to the top of your waistband like so. So I'm just gonna fold in the raw edge and then stitch it to the top of the waistband. Okay everybody, so I have my buttons sewn in place, and I don't think it looks bad at all. I think it looks really cute. I may bring this one down just a little bit so it matches up with that one, but I'm really happy with it. So the last step to do, and then we're all done, is to do our hem. And if you cut the long version like I did, then you have 3 1/4 of an inch hem allowance. So I'm gonna go ahead and fold up 1/4 of an inch, then I'm gonna fold up 3 inches, and then I'm gonna do 2 rows of stitching, or just 1, because I'm not using a contrasting thread, so it really doesn't matter. But if you're using a contrasting thread, you may want to use 2 rows of stitching. So then again, go ahead and press up 1/4 of an inch, and then press up 3 inches, and then go ahead and stitch your hem in place, and then you are all done with your pants. We just sewed Simplicity 8701, and here's my final look. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video. Blessings everyone, bye.